can I be so broke? I don't understand. All I do is go to work, come home, sleep, and cry. Oh, it's because I ate today. I forgot that I have to choose between eating and paying my bills. Guess I'll starve.
Hey, I'm gonna keep it real. The way things look now, I don't think kids are gonna be able to move out anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like, you know how they always be like, oh, when you're 18, you gotta get out, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna tell my kids, y'all can stay as long as y'all want. You know, save your money. I don't want y'all living paycheck to paycheck and shit like that. You know, stack your bread. If you wanna get married, have a family, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. Because the way things look now for us, imagine how it is gonna be for them. Hopefully things get better. But even still, like, you know, regardless, they can stay with me as long as they want, get their bread up, you know, stack their money up, because I don't want them out here living paycheck to paycheck, man. You know what I mean? And if I give tips to any parents, man, don't try to kick them out when they're 18. Let them stay, let them get their money up and all that. Let them get right. Don't just be like, oh, you're 18, you gotta go, because it's rough out here, you know. Anyway, just want to make a video. Peace.
Hey YouTube, everywhere you scroll right now, people are talking about how being broke feels less like a personal failure and more like a structural reality of daily life. It's showing up in clips, conversations, and generational comparisons that all point to the same feeling that normal life costs more than it used to. This video breaks down the main reasons that the pattern keeps appearing and what it says about how affordability has changed.
Bro, do you realize that we're going through several different financial crises at the same time? Like, all at the same time right now. We keep trying to compare this to like, oh, this is like 1920s, or like this is like the 80s, or this is like the 70s. But we're going through all of those things at the exact same time. Like, we're dealing with them all at the same time. People talk about the 2008, like, we are dealing with several of those same things, but like 20 other things. Like, wait. Like, they just hit me at the same time, like, wow, all of these things are going on. High prices for groceries, gas, job shortages. The housing market is priced ridiculously, whether you're getting a house or you're getting an apartment. Even just simply eating. Like, eating costs so much more than it did before, and that's something you have to do. You can't skimp out on eating. Like, you see people say, oh, y'all gotta just save money, y'all not budgeting right. What do you do to budget your way out of this? Because you can't budget your way out of a bad economy. But, like, it's several different things hitting at the same time. And it's like, no matter where you turn, you're going to be impacted by it. So, like, how do you plan for that?
All have eggs and milk money, or are you just out here freestyling it financially? Folks, if you were struggling in April with your grocery bill, it wasn't all in your head, because in April, grocery prices jumped more than they have in the last 4 years. Fresh vegetables alone are up 44%. That's up more than it was just 3 months ago. At this point, lettuce got a security clearance. Tomatoes need a cosigner. Y'all remember when our parents used to say, oh, we got McDonald's at home. But a lot of people don't even have McDonald's at home no more, because ground beef costs too much, potatoes cost too much, bread costs too much. The basics are acting bougie right about now. And this is why I tell folks, when farmers pay more for gas and equipment and to do things, by proxy, all of us are going to pay more. How are y'all making y'all money stretch right now? I want to know. And what groceries did you stop buying because the price has gotten so ridiculous?
Hey, look, so I was having a conversation with my maintenance man, right? And we was pretty much talking about, because I asked him, I'm like, bro, why is there so many people moving out? And he's like, bro, everybody getting kicked out. I'm like, damn, why? He's like, bro, ain't nobody paying their rent. And it made me think, like, bro, this economy is getting wicked. It's wicked out here. Like, it's spooky. Like, prices is going up. Like, apartments, 1-bedroom apartments, shoot, like 16, 1700. Especially, like, I'm in a nice area, so, like, apartment, like 16, 1700. I'm like, so it could be tough on people, especially, like, if you working paycheck to paycheck, right? And you got kids and you're not making a decent amount of money, it can be really tough on people. And on top of that, we was talking, and he was saying, like, he knew someone that makes 6 figures and he still working paycheck to paycheck. So when he said that, I'm like, hold on now. He making 6 figures and he still working paycheck to paycheck? I'm like, all right, now it's gotta be like, he gotta be living above his means, because ain't no way you telling me he making 6 figures and he living paycheck to paycheck. But then again, like, you never know someone's situation. But I don't know. It's just crazy that you making 6 figures and you working paycheck to paycheck. Y'all let me know. For real.
Minimum wage is built on the idea that full-time work should cover basic survival without needing extra income. It was meant to tie 40 hours of direct labor directly to food, housing, and essential living costs. That connection has weakened as prices rose faster than wages in most areas. Full-time work now often leaves gaps instead of stability. Even when hours stay consistent, that gap changes how people view effort because working more no longer guarantees keeping up. It also shifts expectations away from the independence through one job alone. The original structure assumed costs and wages would have moved together over time. Instead, costs accelerated while wages stayed relatively flat in comparison. That mismatch is what creates that feeling that working doesn't translate into progress anymore. It also explains why many people feel like they're always catching up regardless of income level.
I'm gonna be so realistic. I'm gonna be so transparent because I ain't got no reason to lie about nothing. Y'all, realistically speaking, this economy, this day and age, is bullshit. Completely bullshit. It's no fucking way the amount of money that we are making right now today, a lot of us was wishing and hoping to make that a couple years ago. Because if you made it a couple years ago, you can get by. You was able to do what you want to. Now the money that we're making right now today ain't shit. The money we're making right now today is only enough to cover your bills. You don't have money to do what the fuck you want to. And it's so hard. A lot of times, people are trying to do like content and stuff like that just to make extra money. And then you have other people that's also trying to do that, but them same people that's trying to do what you're doing as well, they will hate on you, be like, no, somebody has to work the jobs. Motherfucker, we all out here trying to get by. Like, this shit is stressing me. It's just stressing me the fuck out. I'm not gonna lie, this shit stressed me out so bad that it's like, I'm buying groceries so many times in a fucking week because I'm trying not to buy too many groceries. I could buy groceries to meal prep for a fucking week. I'm coming out of $300 plus fucking dollars. And then I got to buy it again next week because I didn't really buy a lot of food, but you just feel like you bought a lot of food because you spent so much fucking money. This shit's dope. This is dumb. This is dumb.
$100 used to represent a meaningful amount of household value in everyday spending. It could cover groceries for a family in a way that felt predictable and manageable. Today, that same amount barely covers a fraction of what it used to, depending on location and store. That change reflects a broader shift in how far money stretches across essentials. Food, rent, and utilities all increase at the same time without equal wage growth. That forces people to compress spending into smaller and more limited choices. It also changes what quote-unquote normal spending looks like from week to week. People often interpret this as a personal financial struggle, but the pattern is consistent across larger groups. The feeling of money disappearing faster comes from reduced purchasing power, not just behavioral changes. That shift redefines what basic affordability actually means in practice.
So I feel like when we talk about federal minimum wage, we kind of skip over the conversation of purchasing power, which is like very relevant to the conversation. So in 1938, that was the first time they ever established a federal minimum wage. It was set at 25 cents an hour. Today, almost 90 years later, it's only went up $7. It is $7.25 an hour. Some people will look at that and say, oh, okay, well, if you do the math, it's a 2,800% increase. Technically, that's right. But that number means absolutely nothing without looking at what that money can actually buy. Purchasing power. So purchasing power is the amount of goods and services that your money can actually buy. So in simple terms, it's going to answer that question of how much life can I afford with the money that I earn? So 25 cents in 1938 had the purchasing power of roughly $5.90 in today's money. But this ignores another important concept, which is cost of living. This is the amount of money that's required to afford basic necessities. Housing, food, transportation, healthcare, other expenses, everything has went up. So, point of this video being, the cost of living has not increased evenly. Things like housing, healthcare, childcare, education have risen much faster than the wages in many cases. So, I want to answer the question of, has the purchasing power of workers kept up with the actual cost of living? So, I will start this by combating the most popular argument that I know I'm going to hear. Only 1% of Americans make minimum wage. Okay. First of all, 1% of Americans is still roughly 800,000 to 900,000, almost a million human beings who are working and being paid for $7.25 an hour. But more importantly, the minimum wage debate, it's never just been about people making exactly $7.25. So to prove to you that this is not just an issue of minimum wage and this is an issue of cost of living and purchasing power, we have a hypothetical person who makes $15 an hour. That's about twice the minimum wage. $15 an hour times a 40-hour work week gets you $600 a week. $600 a week times 52 weeks in 1 year gives you $31,200 per year for gross income. When you do your monthly gross based off of that $31,200, you get about $2,600 a month. After you take out Social Security, Medicare taxes, which is about 8%, you get about $2,400 a month. Then, taking into account federal and state taxes, depending on state and deductions, you're going to get about $2,100 to $2,300 a month. So your average one bedroom is about $1,300 to $1,400 a month. Average food for one adult is about $350 to $450 a month. Transportation, so your car payment average is about $700 a month. Insurance is about $200 a month, and that's generous because mine's $325. Gas, about $150 to $200 a month, again, generous. Maintenance for your car, about $100 a month. And then, utilities is about $200 a month, and that's generous. Your Wi-Fi, about $60 a month. Phone, about $75 a month. Healthcare, so you've got your prescriptions, your co-pays, insurance, premiums, out-of-pocket costs. That's going to be about $150 to $300 a month. And then you've got your household necessities, so like toilet paper, soap, cleaning supplies, laundry, hygiene. That's going to be about $100 a month. So your total is going to be about $3,535 a month. So your deficit is about $1,200 to $1,400 a month. So even making double the minimum wage with no kids, no childcare costs, no student loans, no credit card debt, no emergencies, no vacations, no eating out, no pets, you're still going to be short over $1,000 every single month on average. And another thing I found is that the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that in 2023, roughly 30 million jobs in the United States pay less than $15 an hour. And that's about 1/5 of jobs in the United States. So if you hear anyone saying, oh, well, only 1% of Americans make the minimum wage. Yeah, well, actually 1/5 of them make less than $15 an hour, and they can't survive off of that. So you can argue all day, every day, oh, well, not that many Americans make $7.25 an hour. The statistics show that less than 1 million Americans make $7.25. Well, guess what? The statistics also show that roughly 30 million Americans are making less than $15 an hour. So what's your point? And another thing that we really need to talk about more when we talk about minimum wage is that there's an economic concept called a living wage, which is the amount of money a person must earn to meet their basic needs without relying on government assistance or going into debt. So a minimum wage and a living wage are not necessarily the same thing, even though they should be. But my point being is that the question we should be asking is not how many people are making minimum wage. Why does a person working full-time in one of the wealthiest countries in human history still struggle to afford a basic life? It's that's insanity. Like, the math does not math.
Moving out used to align closely with finishing school or starting full-time work. That timeline assumed independence would naturally follow employment. Rising housing and living costs broke that assumption in most areas. Full-time income no longer guarantees the ability to live alone without financial strain. That makes staying at home longer a practical response instead of a temporary setback. Parents who understand current costs are more likely to support that decision. It reflects awareness that rushing into rent can create instability instead of independence. The idea of adulthood is shifting from a timeline to a financial threshold. People now reach independence based on affordability rather than age. That changes how milestones are viewed because they are no longer guaranteed outcomes of growing up. It also normalizes longer transitions into full financial independence across households. So let me know what you guys thought about this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace out.